Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. Recently, we had the noted golf course architect Gil Hanse join us to take a look at his work at French Creek. Well, Gil is back with us again today, but this time to take a look at the whole process and ordeal, the design and the construction of the Olympic golf course in Rio de Janeiro. He got some rave reviews, and we'll talk to him all about the experience. And we'll also take a look at the Junior Golf Leagues. The Junior Golf Leagues are a big part of the PGA of America trying to grow the game. And in the Philadelphia section, one of the most success stories to be told is at Ledge Rock. And Lila Mackey of the Philadelphia section will join us to see what host pro Andy Miller is doing at Ledge Rock and what all pros are trying to accomplish with Junior Golf Leagues here in Philadelphia. So it's coming up next, right here on Inside Golf. Inside Golf, presented by Destination Montco Golf, 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirsttphiladelphia.org. By Jersey Man Magazine. It's a Jersey way of life. And Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.
Along with being stewards of the game of golf, your local PGA professional wears many hats.
We are teachers.
We are players.
We are managers.
We are merchandisers.
And community leaders.
But we all wear one badge.
PGA professionals are well-trained experts who work hard to share the joy of golf with our neighbors for over 90 years. To find your local PGA professional, visit phillypga.com. Brought to you by the Philadelphia section of the PGA.
We are the experts in the game and business of golf.
My mom asked, Caitlin, would you like to do golf? And I said, sure, and so I got into it.
I watched it on TV one day and I was like, yeah, I gotta try that one day. And my mom was like, yeah, I need you to do something over the summer.
Well, my grandfather played golf, and then he kind of gave me the interest in playing golf.
My dad told me about it, and I thought it was interesting, so I tried it out. I really liked it, so I went on.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. We are at French Creek. Gil Hanse has joined us, who designed French Creek, but Gil, more recently you're known for what happened in Rio. And how about this? We actually have the torch that you carried as part of the ceremony to get the Olympics underway down in Rio. That must have been some honor, huh?
Yeah, thanks, Harry. It was great. It was something that, we weren't sure it was going to come through until sort of 2 or 3 days before, but I think it was recognition and appreciation from the people at Rio 2016 for the work that was done there and some of the circumstances we had to go through to get it done.
And you were one of 12,000 torchbearers, huh?
Yeah.
That must have been some experience. How long actually did you run with this thing?
It's about 200 meters, which is probably the maximum distance I can go.
Did you practice?
No. If I can't do that, then something's wrong.
And how did you get on the list?
I think the folks, the higher ups at Rio 2016, Carlos Newsman, who's the head of their organizing committee, and Joseph Brito, who was his right-hand man, thought it would be a nice honor and nice recognition for me to be able to do it.
They made you an offer you could not refuse, right?
That's true.
That's great. Well, this will be around for a long, long time, I'm sure. Let's talk about the whole project. Most of our viewers, I'm sure, are familiar with the ordeal, the selection process. And one of the keys, I think, was the fact that you said you were going to be on site for a lot of the time during the construction, right?
That's true. I think that commitment, which is not atypical for us. I mean, we spend a lot of time on our projects, but obviously it's a long commute to make. But Tracy, my wife, and Kaylee, our youngest daughter, committed to being there with us. And we lived there as a family for about 7 months. And then the realization became that the project was going to take much longer than the original year that we had budgeted for it. And when that came about, we thought, we had already interrupted one of Kaylee's school years. Figured let's just get her home and let her get back into her junior year of high school. And then at that point, I just commuted every month for 10 to 14 days.
There were a lot of challenges, as you mentioned, not just with the physical part of building, but also some of the political issues, the environmental issues, and things like that. Was there any time when you almost threw up your hands and said, you know what, do I really need this?
No, I can't say that there was. I think, and the reason is that they never once asked us to change the design. If they had started to say, well, if you build 30 bunkers instead of 80, that's going to save us money. If they asked us to compromise the design, and ultimately if we had to build a golf course that we had to apologize for, then I think that would have been the straw that broke the camel's back. But I think, we knew we couldn't control any of the things that were happening outside the gates, all the environmental stuff, the land disputes. All we could focus on was keeping our heads down and sort of working hard within the gates. And I think those were the biggest frustrations, the ones we felt like we should be able to dictate the way a golf course is built as opposed to it being dictated to us by people who really had no knowledge of building golf courses.
From looking at it, the coverage that I saw of the competition, you basically dealt with what you were given there in terms of the land, right? You kept a lot of the natural, the sand and the soil and things like that, a critical part, a strategic part of the golf course.
Absolutely, and I think one of the testaments to the construction crew, the guys that worked with us down there, is we went out and literally put ropes around all the native areas. So all the stuff that we saw on TV and we continue to see that looks and appears native and sandy, we had to protect all of that because otherwise the construction crews would have been running all over it and destroyed it.
Yeah, how about the owl's nest in one of the bunkers on what hole was that got a lot of coverage?
It was number 9. I figured the owl would be the star of the show. I mean,
they were there from day one?
From day one, we had 3 owls on site. Now we have 14.
Okay,
so
they're a prolific group.
They really are, and then some of them came to the site as well.
Okay, and you had some other wildlife there, the largest rodents we've ever seen. Did they become an obstacle at any time during the construction?
It was interesting. We'd go away, Harry, and at night, and we'd come back the next morning. You'd see their little trails. They'd come out of the trees and walk across the sand, and we called them the Capybara Highway. As they'd move through the site, we could kind of predict where they were. And we found out that they have a nice appetite for paspalum grass. So anywhere where the paspalum got a little bit longer than greens height, they would nibble on it every night.
And they're part and parcel now of the golf course, as are gator or two, right?
Yeah, we saw some caimans down there. We really didn't have any problems with them. Just one day, I think we got one that snuck into a drainage pipe.
Stenson had a little poke at one too, didn't he, in the 3rd round, I think?
That was interesting to see.
Was
well, either that or crazy. I'm not sure which one.
The competition couldn't have been better for the men and the way it ended on 18. How about the strategy on 18, a par 5? And I noticed you had some subtle mounding there in front of the green, and I think it really hurt Stenson and may have helped where he was located, Justin Rose.
Well, I think one of the things going into the competition, we had predicated the design on angles, and it's an intentionally wide golf course because you can see how much the wind can blow there. And we weren't sure if angles were dead for that class of player, that they could just overpower a golf course and it really didn't matter much. But I think, we were delighted that we could see on 18 that it came down to those two, two of the best players in the field. And one of them had a great angle into that whole location, Rose from over on the left, and Stenson kind of had to play up and over that little ridge, and you saw that catch his ball and pull it back down. So from that standpoint, we felt like, it was sort of vindication that angles still are an important part of golf.
Congratulations, well done in Rio. I know you got a busy schedule, right? You going to go back anytime soon?
We'll probably be back down there in December. We have a consulting agreement with Gavia Golf Club, which is a beautiful little private club in town, and we'll certainly get our eyes back on the Olympic course.
I guess you're the man down there in Rio, better than some of the American swimmers left their reputation there. And this is a pride relic of your experience in Rio de Janeiro.
Very proud of everything that we did. I mean, our team pulled together. It was great. I had my entire family down there. So, when you're surrounded by people you love and you get really special moments, I don't know how you could ask for anything more.
Absolutely. Gil Hanse is the man, and we'll be back. More Inside Golf continues in just a moment.
My favorite thing about the team was that if you hit a bad ball, it didn't matter because you still had to depend on everybody else.
Jersey Man and Philly Man magazine, published by former Eagles tight end Ken Dunnick, is everything you want in a publication catering to men's interest. Enjoy articles on politics, business, the mob, wine, food, fitness, and travel. Written by the likes of George Anastasia, Bill Lyon, Sam Carchidi, and Mike Kern. Want to grow your business? Ask for information on our Legacy and Chairman Clubs. They meet regularly and can be a valuable tool for your company. Subscriptions are only $20 a year for 6 issues. They're available at jerseymanmagazine.com. Welcome back to Inside Golf. Harry Donahue along with Leland Mackey from the Philadelphia section of the PGA. And Nice little transition, talking about Rio de Janeiro and the Olympics with the esteemed Gil Hanse, and now something else that is relatively new. It's been around longer than golf in the Olympics, maybe at least his second term of golf in the Olympics, Leila. But tell us about the efforts to get junior golf leagues started, when it did, and how it has grown in a very limited, short period of time.
Sure. PGA Jr League is a PGA of America initiative that really has taken off, has become really big in the last 3 to 4 years. In our section alone, it has grown from 24 teams the first year, that was in 2013, to now 110 teams in our section alone. In the last 2 years, it's doubled and then some. And really, it's a fun, new way to get kids into the game. It's for kids 13 and under. It can go down, you know, there's kids as young as 6 years old, and it kind of depends on, you know, what their skill level is. But obviously as old as 13 years old. And it's a team aspect. So you play on a team with 10 to 14 kids, and it's a two-man scramble. So you're playing against teams from the another facility or another team in your area. And they wear team jerseys, they're really fun colors with numbers on the back, and it really gets parents involved, and really it's a fun way for kids to get introduced to the game.
So it's not so much an individual effort, it's collaborating with somebody else, your age group. And
it's really neat to see the kids working together.
It's a different dynamic.
It is, and it makes it more fun. It's not fun to go out and shoot 110 on your own ball when you're 7 years old or 10 years old.
Now, do they play 9 holes, 18 holes?
They play 9 holes.
Okay,
so it's really
9.
three-hole matches is how the scoring is done. Okay. So, and you get flags for how many holes you win in those matches, and so it's a different point system. It's not stroke play, it's match play. And it's just a really fun way for kids to get introduced to the game that doesn't make it as much pressure of the individual sport.
Now, interesting, let's get the reaction from, say, club professionals. What's been, obviously, if it's grown like it has numbers-wise, something's working.
It has been. It has grown exponentially the last couple of years. And not only has the feedback from parents and children been great, it's been great from club pros too. It's a great way to really jumpstart your junior program. We're into postseason play right now. Postseason play, it's kind of like the Little League model for all-stars. So you take kind of the best players from each local team and you form an all-star team, and that started in August and it kind of goes through September, which our regional is in our section. We're in the part of the Mid-Atlantic Regional, which will be at Ledge Rock Golf Club this September 17th and 18th.
Well, more on Ledge Rock in just a moment, but talk about, is it gender equal? Do boys and girls play as a twosome together? It's not just girls and girls, boys and boys?
All mixed. Okay, so yeah, you'll see, I mean, really everyone I've seen, you know, it's still, I would say the majority is still boys, but that's just kind of the nature of the sport, I think. But there's definitely more girls getting involved than you have seen in the past, because again, girls do not want to post there. It's embarrassing to post your own score up there sometimes, but it's definitely a mix. It's been girls, boys, you know, 13-year-olds, 8-year-olds. It's a mix, so it's been great.
Okay, talk about Ledge Rock in particular. The pro up there, Andy Miller, has done a pretty significant contribution to this whole concept. He's had a lot of success. In fact, they have their own competition just among Ledge Rock golfers, right?
Yeah, you know, Andy Miller has really embraced this program, and I think it's kind of what you make of it. You can really get as much out of this program as you want and build it as big as you want, and he has definitely done that. He's had enough kids, so you have to have at least 32 kids to form 4 teams and have your own league within your club, which he has certainly done. So Ledge Rock has had 4 teams within their club this year, and he does some really innovative stuff to kind of make it really fun and make sure that he's continuing to grow the game for us.
Yeah, talk about innovative things that he's done. We had a chance to get a little bird's eye view of exactly what Andy does with his team and team members up at Ledge Rock.
Do I need a ball?
Yep.
But I just ran all the way back from the car.
I got all kinds of balls over here. So we're just going to do our putting stations like we do when we play junior golf.
What I'm doing still.
I'm going to tell you. I got it. So this is just what a typical PGA Junior League practice would look like here at Ledge Rock Golf Club, but we try to incorporate a few skills. So we'll have a couple stations working on face angle and distance control putting. And then what we'll do is we'll just break up into groups and we'll play competitive games, because the more they can get used to playing with a little bit of pressure, the more it's going to transfer to when they're playing in golf matches. And also it's a lot more fun that way. So, okay, so this is kind of what a normal PGA Junior League practice would look like. We set up different stations so they can work on specific skills that they need to putt. So right now, these two kids are working on face angle. So we just set up some tees that are a little bit wider than the ball, so the ball just fits through the middle of them. And they're learning that if they hit any tees, then their putter face is open or closed. Sometimes I call it plinko, you know, kind of like the Price is Right game. And then once they do it, you know, for maybe a minute or two on one side, and then we'll have them do it on an unstable surface so they can learn balance when they're putting as well. I find a lot of kids tend to kind of move a little bit too much with their lower body when they hit putts. So Sienna's doing it off the balance discs over there, and gives you a really good feel for what you need to do to be stable when you're putting. So that's a good one to teach face angle. So we'll have a couple kids do that drill. And then over here is a drill that we have specifically to work on stroke length. So we've just got different colored tees put at different spots, and Mary's gonna start at the white tee, and she'll try to go back to the orange tees, orange, orange, right? And then the next time, let's go back to the yellows, yellow, yellow, and then we'll go to the 2 greens. So if the 2 variables when you're hitting putts are how fast you're moving the putter and how long of a putting stroke you're making, this is really good work for distance control on controlling your stroke length. Good job, Mary. Well done. All right, so over here, who's winning? So after we do a couple stations, we'll kind of switch them around, and then we'll start flipping into competitive gameplay where they're putting to practice some of the ideas that we introduced that day. So they're working on distance control and face angle, and they're putting it into a competitive game format. So right now we've got 2 teams. One team's putting the green ball in the hole, and one team's putting the yellow ball. And then when they make their colored ball, they have to putt the black ball, just like pool. So right now, if he makes this putt, his team would win the game. A lot of pressure.
Yeah, I'm getting on fire. Ooh, Andy, can I keep this?
Oh, good putt. Shake hands. That was good. So that's one of the favorite. That's one of their favorites. Yeah, you guys can play again. Just make sure you put them all in the right spot.
It's 2 to 7.
What's going on over here? What are you guys at? Yeah, losing team goes first.
We have 8.
You guys have 8?
8 wins, they have 5.
And we're playing to 10?
They have 2.
All right, so this game's to work on distance control putting. So we've got 2 pieces of tape on each side. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, putt. All right, 1, 2, 3, putt. They're both gonna putt, and whichever ball ends up closest to that line gets a point. So Chase, you just got a point. So that gives you guys 9 points.
9 to 2.
So and you can see if you switch sides, one putt will be uphill, one putt will be downhill. And this is specifically for distance control because there's really no alignment here. They're not going to have a problem hitting it near the tape. I would highly recommend if you run any kind of junior golf program that you'd structure it in this manner, and your players are going to get better and they're going to have a lot of fun.
We welcome you back. Inside Golf continues with our Teed Off segment. Our panel today is assembled here at the beautiful Valley Forge Casino Resort in King of Prussia. And the panel consists of Jack Conley, longtime Philadelphia area PGA professional, former president of the PGA of America, and we always welcome your insight.
Harry, always nice to be back.
Depth of knowledge from Jack Conley. Speaking of which, we have Joe Logan back with us again from the blog myphillygolf.com. I'm going to keep up with everything that's going on in not just Philadelphia golf, but golf in general. Joe Logan's blog, myphillygolf.com, is the place to go. And PGA professional and author, our good friend Bob Shepard is back with his book,
The Dormy House?
The Dormy House. Yep. Quick study on some great short stories in golf.
Definitely gotten a lot of good responses from the people that have bought it.
There you go. That's always a nice little incentive.
Yep.
Let's talk about Nike's decision recently to get out of the equipment business, Jack. You know, they had pretty much tied up Tiger Woods there and gave him a lot of money. And Tiger went on to have a lot of success swinging that swoosh. All of a sudden, Tiger's not around. How much do you think that impacted Nike's sales and their decision to get out altogether?
Well, I'm sure it affected it somewhat because Tiger's not out there having a swoosh there every week. But having said that, you know, I played with somebody and they'd played in a lot of pro-ams, the tour pros, and when they go into the golf shop, you don't see many golf shops having Nike equipment in there. So I think that was the biggest thing. They paid Tiger, and I think Rory was on Nike for a while. But, you know, I'm not sure that having Tiger not on the staff anymore, being there week to week, was the main reason why they're getting out of the club business. They just didn't have any golf shops that they were selling it to.
Why is that though? Why wouldn't they, you know, capitalize on his presence with Nike and make it more available to people in pro shops and golf shops?
I don't know what their sales force was.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have a sales force out there. I know Titleist has sales people in each of the different 41 sections, and they may have sometimes more than just one because of the size of the section. So unless you get the product out there, when I was at Huntington Valley and now at North Hills, there aren't many people come in and say, do you have any Nike equipment?
Right. How about Nike balls too? They'll be impacted.
True, they'll
I used to see more people hitting Nike balls and using Nike clubs to hit those Nike balls.
I didn't see that many Nike clubs in bags. When people I play golf with, they're fairly expensive clubs. Most of them are very hard to hit. They're blades. They're almost impossible to hit unless you're a scratch player or a pro or something. But they also have Rory McIlroy is a big player. So it remains to be seen who are those players going to go to. The more I thought about it, I was a little surprised, like everybody, when Nike announced they were getting out of the equipment business. The more I thought about it, the less surprised I was, because they're just, between Callaway, TaylorMade, Titleist, there are a few other big equipment makers that I think of as more dominant than Nike when it comes to equipment.
When you talk about those companies you just mentioned, like Ping's been around, it seems like forever. And it began with the putter, right?
Yep.
That was the first thing. And literally the sound that it made in impact with the ball, the ping, is how the name came about.
Sure.
And the Solheim family has done such a great job now with other types of golf equipment. And it's lasted this long, Bob. Nike doesn't make too many mistakes.
No.
But obviously this is the one that they missed on.
Tripped up on, yeah. You know what my view is, when Spieth elected to go with Under Armour, which has no equipment at all, it's like, wow, who gave him the inside dope on that? Because he didn't go for the Wilson, for what we were just naming.
Yeah.
He's on his own. And he could change equipment any day he wants, and he's wearing the shirt, obviously. And
the shoes. They do make shoes, yeah.
And so
$25 million is his contract.
I'm saying that's not a bad deal.
Get you to move in that direction.
But I think he could maybe in the back room they were talking, these companies aren't doing too good with the club market. Maybe we ought to make an adjustment. And Michael Jordan's a good example. I mean, he's a Nike boy, and he.
Oh yeah, he was the first big, I think, Nike
he brought Tiger
athlete.
With him. And then when Spieth came up, he might have said, "Hey, Jordan, why don't you slide over to another company where you can hand pick your putter and your wedge, and you don't have to play certain equipment,
Well, and let's face it. I mean, Nike got into the business with shoes,
yes.
and it's expensive as they are. They're not $1,000 like a set of clubs is or something like that. And it all comes down to bottom line in sales, Jack. And
exactly.
If you're not getting it done selling-wise, you're out. Doesn't take that long.
And as Joe said earlier, it was geared toward the better golfer with the blades. They didn't have a player effective set of clubs that they could come up with.
Duffers, the Duffer line.
Yeah, well, not the Duffer line, but somebody that it's an easier hit. Just like the hybrids. I mean, when they came out with hybrids, it certainly made a big difference in my game, and I'm assuming for the average golfer as well, because I don't know if I'd be playing it and I couldn't hit my long.
Saying that Tiger's doing this, but he's doing it with faulty equipment. Remember? Remember he said that? Everybody went, "Whoa! What are you talking about?"
Of course, Phil also changed lines. Who did he go to? Callaway. Right before the Masters one year, right? Like a week before, and it was like for $10 million. And there were some stories out there saying, well, maybe he was doing it because he needed that $10 million for something else. Who knows? But Nike, I'm sure I got from our good friend at the USGA. John Spitzer. I was up there at the testing center, and he has a reservoir of balls up there. And I was able to get a Nike ball with the swoosh and Tiger on it, courtesy of Mr. Spitzer. Thank you, John.
How about that?
All of a sudden, that ball was worth a little more. Yeah. Huh? Maybe if I put Jack Conley's signature on there.
Keep Tiger's, I would suggest.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jack, Joe, and Bob, and we'll be back more Inside Golf coming up in just a moment. The Valley Forge Casino Resort is the region's only full amenity gaming resort. And it's only seconds from the Pennsylvania Turnpike at King of Prussia. It features 600 slots, 50 table games, and there are nearly 500 guest rooms, plus 8 restaurants designed to meet all of your dining needs. So put the beautiful Valley Forge Casino Resort on your destination list.
I'd be nowhere near the golfer or person that I am today without Cam. We don't hold our thoughts back with each other, and that's why we're able to be so successful.
Jordan brought with him a tremendous desire to achieve, whether it was that first day that we met or every session thereafter.
One of the epic performances.
Accomplishing these lifetime goals, could not have done it without Cam.
The best stories end in thanks. Share your story at ThanksPGAPro.com.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf, and in the weeks ahead, we'll honor our military veterans, including a look at a recent outing involving some amputee veterans. And we'll attend a Flyers alumni event. It raises over $1 million, a single-day event to help support junior hockey in the Philadelphia area. I'm Harry Donahue. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up. We'll see you next time on Inside Golf. Inside Golf, presented by Destination Montco Golf, 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirsttphiladelphia.org. By Jersey Man Magazine. It's a Jersey way of life. And Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.